Okay, thank you so much again, everyone. We're gonna start with the interpretation instruction, and then we're gonna start right away with our stories for today.
Gracias, Basma. Good afternoon, buenas tardes. Mi nombre es María Angélica, mis pronombres son ella y ellas, y hoy estamos proveyendo interpretación con mi colega Flavia con Marble Language Services para asegurarnos de que hoy podamos tener acceso a la información que se va a presentar en los próximos 2 días, sin importar el idioma que hablemos, y también que nos podamos expresar en este espacio en el idioma que prefiramos. Entonces, hoy estamos proveyendo interpretación para los que están dentro de Zoom y los que están en Facebook Live también. Para las personas que están dentro del Zoom, si están en su computador, abajo a mano derecha, le hacen clic al globo que dice interpretación. Ahí pueden escoger español si quieren escuchar en español, inglés si quieren escuchar inglés. Si hablan los dos idiomas, pueden mantener la interpretación apagada. Ahora, si están en su teléfono, en la parte de abajo a la derecha van a ver 3 puntos. Cuando tocan los 3 puntos, eligen interpretación de idiomas y ahí eligen el idioma que prefieren y después tocan hecho arriba a la mano derecha. Para las personas que nos están acompañando desde Facebook Live, durante esta presentación pueden llamar al número 305-707-5958 si quieren escuchar por teléfono la presentación en español. Y van a encontrar el número telefónico en la sección de comentarios de Facebook Live. Y las instrucciones del Zoom van a estar en la sección de comentarios de Zoom. Gracias. Good afternoon. My name is Maria Angelica. My pronouns are she and they. And today my colleague Flavia and I will be providing Spanish and English interpretation with Marble Language Services to ensure that today we have access to this important information that is going to be given in the next 2 days, regardless of the language that we speak, and also that we're able to express ourselves in the language that we would like. So today we're providing interpretation both inside our Zoom and also on the Facebook Live. If you are on Zoom, at the lower right-hand corner of your computer screen, you click on the globe that says interpretation. Then there you can choose Spanish if you want to listen in Spanish, English if you want to listen in English, or if you understand both languages, you may also have your interpretation off. If you are joining us in Zoom using your phone, at the bottom right-hand corner of your phone screen, there is 3 dots. When you touch the dots, you choose language interpretation. There you choose the language that you prefer, and then you touch done at the top right corner. I am going to put these instructions in the chat in Zoom. And for the folks who are joining us on Facebook Live, interpretation is available right now, only during this live. And you can listen in Spanish by calling the number 305-707-5958. And this number will be available on the Facebook Live comments. Thank you. Gracias.
Thank you so much. It's been really helpful making sure that we are inclusive with the people who have requested interpretation needs. So going back, this is a really special session or panel with the storyteller sessions. As we all know, June is Immigrant Heritage Month, and June 20th, last week, was World Refugee Day. So in the spirit of the celebration of art and culture, join 4 immigrants and refugees, 2 today and 2 tomorrow, as they share their story of arrival and integration in Florida. We believe in the power of including meaningful policy and culture changes surrounding refugees and immigrants through direct storytelling. This event is an opportunity for the public to learn more about the refugees and immigrants who live in the state of Florida, who create our stories and our culture together. So we're gonna start with Naz Hussain, who I actually met through this project a couple of years ago. Naz grew up between her hometown of Kirkuk, Iraq, and adopted city of Beirut, Lebanon. She immigrated to South Florida as a UNHCR refugee during 2014. Shortly after, Naz attended the University of Florida and graduated in May 2021 with a BA degree in International Studies and a BS in telecommunication. She spent her undergraduate career researching about migration and working with a nonprofit on refugee humanitarian aid. Naz is also a storyteller passionate about uplifting underprivileged voices through accurate representations. Her other experience including being a creative writing director, an English language teacher, and a Fulbright applicant in the future. She hopes to enter the international public service and field through the work that she is doing. She is not also sharing her story to advocate, but she is training many refugees and immigrants to share their stories, to advocate for their own voices. I would like to invite Naz now to share her story and her voice. Thank you.
Thank you, Basma, for a wonderful introduction. Hello, everybody, and thank you so much for all of your efforts into hosting such a wonderful event. I'm very grateful to be here today. First, I want to briefly tell you all about my story as a former refugee. Then I want to share a short poem. I was born and raised in Kirkuk, Iraq, in the northern region of the country, with my older sister and brother and my mom, where I was exposed to different types of people from a young age. My best friend and I didn't speak the same language, but we still communicated despite the language barrier. So growing up, I never thought that language could be restricting. Soon enough, instability struck Iraq. Sectarian violence erupted in 2006, and the situation became very dangerous, especially for professionals like my mother. She was a well-known and respected pharmacist, and she was also a single mother, which made her an easy target. She miraculously survived several car bombings outside her pharmacy, and one night, we were all gathered in the kitchen. My brother was helping me draw a trumpet, and my mom was washing dishes in front of the window. Suddenly, the electricity went out. The ground shook, and there was a deafening sound. A bomb had gone off across the street, which destroyed our house and shattered the windows. My mom, who was in front of the glass, came out of it with minor injuries, another miracle. But at this point, she wasn't going to try her luck anymore. So this is when our displacement journey began. We went to Egypt and Syria trying to find a new home, but our papers got declined or it just didn't work out. So finally, we landed in Lebanon, where we relocated in 2008. And even though Lebanon was only an hour flight away, the culture shock was unbearable. I went from living in a war-stricken zone to being enrolled in a school where kids spoke 3 languages and I only spoke Iraqi Arabic, a dialect that nobody understood. So for the first time in my life, language was against me. It wasn't like these earlier years where my best friend and I would find ways to communicate despite the struggles. Slowly, however, I was able to integrate within the education system and learn the English language. Even so, I remained and felt like an outsider for most of my 8 years in Lebanon. But just as I was beginning to make Lebanon my home, something changed. My mother had applied to refugee status determination through the UNHCR. So when we first arrived in Lebanon, she did that, and it took 8 years for them to accept our application. One day we got a call and they told us that we would be moving to the United States in just 1 month. So we had 30 days to pack all of our belongings, say goodbye to our friends, and part with the lives that we were beginning to really love. And it was a very bittersweet moment because we had no future in Lebanon. As non-Lebanese nationals, we would have found no job prospects, no security, and no future. So it wasn't self-serving. I remember trying to imagine what Florida would look like, but I had no idea. When we arrived in South Florida, we were packed into a one-bedroom apartment with military foldable beds that would fall to the floor in the middle of the night. It was very hard to navigate the country with all the legality issues and the documentations. For example, without a social security card, we couldn't get a car or rent anything. And we had little help from agencies, so we really had to figure out everything alone. But we gradually picked ourselves up. I went to public school in Florida. Then I applied to University of Florida and I got in, and I moved to Gainesville in 2017. And actually, Besma mentioned this, but I just graduated in May with 2 degrees. And along the way, I've received prestigious awards like the Gilman International Scholarship, and I've been named as a Fulbright semifinalist. And, just to tell you all what my family is doing, my sister is an anesthesiology resident and my brother is a computer engineer. So even though it's been very difficult, my family has made it thanks to my mother and our education, values that I'm sure everyone can resonate with. Refugees are individuals with passions, ambitions, complexities, and stories that are beyond their label and identity of refugee. They deserve to lead fruitful lives where they pursue their passions and are not just struggling to survive. They are resilient and persevering, and they deserve to be welcomed and celebrated every day. Thank you all. I will now share the poem that I promised. It's called Rootless. Classical Fairuz faintly echoes throughout the Oriental supermarket across town. My hair is wool against the nape of my neck, sticky and clumped like bees in a nest. I pick out boxes of imported dates and fill up jars of black olives. The Floridian summer no longer torments me. I am suddenly in Kirkuk, kneeling beside an oil-powered heater wrapped in my grandmother's blankets. I am sleeping on a rooftop mattress with breezes soothing my feet and mosquitoes attacking my ears. I am dancing to Kurdish wedding music as my cousin Lena graces the stage, her hips moving back and forth. Excuse me, ma'am, do you need any help? I slowly shake my head no. I part with my childhood. Have I been away too long, coveted by strangers, the sweet taste of foreign sugar on my tongue? Am I an outsider with morals established under a sky hugged by stars we never saw back home? Home. My muscles ache for home with the longing of a child, yet I have been changed and dented too unfashionably like the cover of a neglected book I don't belong in. I remain confined between its blank pages, a hostage to my own story, unable to distinguish between the Arabic and English letters. My nostalgia lingers, especially with the moon, so I book plane tickets and code switch endlessly. Thank you all, and thank you all so much for hosting me.
Wow. Exactly, Naz. It's home. This is exactly what we want to feel. We want to feel this state to be home for all of us. Really well said. And I am with you on Fairuz. She's one of my favorite singer. And I love the morning coffee with Fairuz and the sounds of birds outside my window. It's all bring home together. Thank you so much, Naz. And we are so proud of you and your story. And now we're going to go Daniela's. So let's learn a little bit about Daniela's before actually we invite her to speak. Let me pull, or maybe we have her bio already here. So Daniela's was born in Cuba, because I don't want to say the city name wrong. So Daniela's, I will give you the privilege to say it, and came to the United States at the age of 4 years old through an adversity visa in which her mother was selected. She spent a few months in Miami, Florida, and was soon really relocated to Jacksonville. Really proud to be a neighbor here. Florida, where she was raised since she was little. Daniela has always enjoyed helping others in needs. She always enjoyed providing guidance to individuals who were unaware of the laws and language of a new country. She is currently getting her master in criminal justice. Currently also, she works as a business immigration assistant, assisting the lead attorney in strengthening the talent pool in the United States. In her spare time, Daniela is the editorial assistant for Weavetails. Love to take all the privilege to share the stories of immigrants and refugees in her new home country. So I would love to invite Daniela to speak and share her story today, which I really did not been hearing that much about her story because she's been helping many refugees and immigrants to share their own. So today we'll have the privilege to hear hers.
Thank you so much, Basma and Nalis. That was very beautiful. So about me, so as Basma stated, so my name is Danielis and I was born in Cuba. It is actually a tiny little island right here. This is all of Cuba, and I was born in this tiny little island that not many people know about, but it's called the Island of the Youth, which it translates to. And it was because in the 1960s, a lot of young individuals used to travel there to study. So I came to the United States when I was 4 years old in 1997 with my mom and my dad. As Basma stated, my mom was selected in a diversity visa and we moved during that time. We spent a couple months in Miami, I believe around like 2, maybe 3, but no more than 5. And we relocated to Jacksonville, Florida, where I've been for the past 20 years. And well, like any immigrant story, it's full of, I don't want to say struggles, I think it's more like obstacles. And a lot of things that come in when you're new into a new country. But a little bit about myself to continue. I graduated from the University of North Florida with my bachelor's in communications, and I'm completing next year my master's in criminal justice. It's something that I'm very passionate about within the legal field. I like to give resources out to people who are unaware of the laws and provide the assistance with the language barrier. Since I do have the facility to both speak it in English and in Spanish, so I try to use my benefits to benefit other people. As Basma also stated, I do work, I interpret Weavetails alongside Naz, where we both create beautiful stories that immigrants and refugees share with us, that we can share with the world. And then I also have my own blog on the side called Cuban Girl Stories, where I basically share my experiences as a first-generation Latin woman in the United States. So an immigrant, but more so raised in the United States, if that kind of makes sense. But I also try to keep the Cuban culture that I have and try to share it with others, just because even though I was born there and I wasn't raised there, it's something that, it's like how Nas said, it's home. And it's something that you always want to keep with you. It's like your boots. So a little bit about my immigration story. So I did come when I was 4, and it's gonna be more about how I saw my parents as, so I do have a sister, but it's more about me and how I lived with my parents during that time. So growing up, my parents did have a language barrier when they came to the United States, and I think that was one of the things that kind of like, it was one of the main prominent barriers that they had, and that language barrier almost kind of transcended onto me. Not necessarily that I couldn't speak English or Spanish, almost that I was like their aide. I assisted them with like when they had to apply, like I helped them with their applications for a job, their doctor's appointments, when they had a call for a utility bill or anything. So I was basically there for them. And I remember when I was younger, I would say, oh, this is like, why can't they like learn English or something like that? And then when I was in college, I was actually taking French. And it was during a midterm, and the professor loved doing written and oral exams. And we had learned a lot of things about how, like, what you like to do, what you like to eat, what you do in school. It was a lot of vocabulary that I had grasped. And I remember during the midterm, and we did an oral exam, all I could think about was saying, I love strawberries. And not even in my life do I ever like strawberries. I hate strawberries. But that's all I could say and think. And at that moment, I was like, it was like an impact. I was like, this is probably how my parents felt whenever they couldn't do anything, or they not do anything, but they couldn't express themselves how they would because they had that language barrier. So throughout all my life, I have assisted my parents, and I'm very grateful for it because it's taught me a lot about myself and what I think I'm meant to do in life. And within that, I've garnered through the criminal justice field because a couple of my family members have gone through the legal system, and with my assistance, they've been able to get out clean and free of anything on their record. And I feel like growing up with my parents and, not doing everything for them, but assisting them in everything that they had to do, from doctor's appointments to translating all these documents from like a very young age until now. And even so, helping them in the house, helping them in like any little thing, like going to the bank, going to the supermarket. I feel like it has built me up and given me more so confidence and power to assist other people within, not necessarily the legal field, but in any matter that I can. I feel like growing up with them has also taught me how strong people can be in, very tight circumstances. And, I try to lend my voice to those people who can't fight for themselves. And so that's a little bit about not so much about my immigration history, but about me living within an immigrant household, being an immigrant myself. But sometimes I consider myself an immigrant, other times I don't, just because I grew up in the American system. So I feel very blessed to be both, an immigrant and also a citizen. And I try to use my power and my resources to assist everyone.
Wow, Danielas, I admire you, and I'm sure your parents are so proud of you and where you are. Such a great daughter, but not just for your parent, for this community. I have really worked both with you and Naz in the past year, and I have seen how much dedicated you are to the community and how much you are dedicated to uplift our community voices and use your skills and talent to help with the writing and editing and make sure these stories are heard. And we have also seen how proud our community members feel and how confident they feel after their stories are shared. So I really admire you and Naz and your work with your parents. And I hope I have two daughters of my own, and I wish and pray that both of them will be like you and Naz. So I could be proud of them like I am so proud of both of you today.